All right, guys, now we have registered the navigation menu. It is showing up, and we can access it here, but we need it to show. So let's Google in WordPress, which I've already done this ahead of time, but no, I haven't done it yet. Show WordPress menu. Okay. And click the first option that comes up in the WordPress codex, of course. Excuse me. And displays a navigation menu created in the appearance menus panel. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Right. So now we got our appearance menu panel to display. Now we want to display a menu from there, because right now the way our menu is displaying is through the HTML on the page still.
Right.
So we're going to remove that HTML and we're going to put in this new menu.
Yep. Okay, so I'm when I look through here, I'm kind of skimming through the code. Here's the usage, the basic usage. This argument is for optional arguments that you can put in.
Right.
So you can change the name of the containing class. You can change the theme location. There's a lot of different things, and they're all listed right here. Let's do the most basic one first, though. Just put in the nav menu with the total default. So I'm going to scroll down to find where the examples are. Here's the examples. Shows the first non-empty menu or WP page menu. Sounds good to me. We don't have to add the div classes. We just want the PHP snippet there. So copy that code, and we're going to our header PHP, and we're going to replace our current navigation, which is this UL class navbar nav, and instead put in that PHP code. Now go ahead and save that out, refresh your page, and see what you get.
And it's like, something didn't work.
Exactly.
So right away you can see that this isn't displaying in any way, shape, or form like ours is, and what it looks like the CSS isn't loading.
Right. But the good thing is that's exactly the menu that we have set up here: home, Google, and sample page.
Right.
We can assign it to header menu. We can add a new page. Let's add sample page twice, just so we know that it's actually dynamic now, because that was the primary goal. So it's dynamic. It's ugly, but it's working dynamically. So we're halfway there.
So now we have to get the CSS for that particular menu to load. And the reason why, if you look at the code for a couple of seconds, is really obvious. It's that WordPress has its own naming conventions for menu classes. So if we go look at our menu, we can see what the names are here. We have, what is that one? Is it menu?
Yeah, menu. This is the ID of menu 1. The class is called menu. And before it was called navbar nav, the class.
Yeah,
with
we
no
were
ID.
using the Bootstrap menu names.
Right.
So now what we need to do is we need to pass those Bootstrap menu names into WordPress so that it reads our Bootstrap menu.
Right. So, and actually we can just test this here. If we change this class to, it was navbar nav, right?
Yep.
Boom.
Right.
That's
so
all we need to do.
So obviously it's like, oh, that's great. How do we do that? How do we change that class?
And that's where the arguments come in. So let's back up. The hard way to do this, and the way that you might have to do it if you don't understand the WordPress PHP or what you're looking for, you'd have to go in and rewrite all your CSS for the navbar and change it to, instead of navbar nav float right, which is listed here, you would have to change it to .menu float right.
Right, and you'll have to go in and change all the CSS for your hovers and for everything else to make sure that it all lines up right.
Right, it's really a bit of a painstaking process and a trial and error thing, and that's not the right way to go. Instead, we want to use the WordPress feature to pass an argument here, which tells it, hey, we want this to be the class of the menu to be named nav and navbar nav, which is what it was before.
Right.
So the way to do that, let's go back to our reference here, and it actually gives you an option here to target a specific menu. So here it's passing an array, which gives it arguments. It's saying the menu that we're going to put this in is the project nav menu. Up higher, you can see all of the different options that we can pass through inside of that array.
Right.
So we can give it a theme location. We can change the container of the outside class. We can change the container class, the container ID, menu class, and menu ID.
Yeah, and if you don't exactly understand arrays, that's okay, because in this case, it's going to give us the exact code and tell us how to enter the argument in there. So if we scroll back down, we can see that it's giving us, the exact code to copy here, right? It's saying, isn't it the one about up? Did you pass it already?
Probably.
Yeah, right there. It's giving us the, like, saying, hey, this is how we're going to enter the array for this thing that we're trying to do, and this is how your array should look. So let's go ahead and use that as the basis for setting this up.
Right. And the only thing that's different here, now this will give you context for how to write the code if you don't know PHP. And we're going to include some more PHP training so you can know this stuff better.
Right.
But if you don't know it, you can see here that they have an argument, menu, and the is project nav. We want to target the menu class.
Right.
And that was one of the options up here when you take some time to look through it. Menu class right here. And the default value is menu, which is what ours is showing.
Right.
So let's copy this and replace that array value with this right here.
So now instead of saying target this menu, we're saying go to the menu classes on this menu and make it renamed something else.
Right. So ours were called nav and navbar nav. Just so you know, I remember these, but you might not have remembered. This is it right here. The UL class nav and navbar nav. That's what we want this to be renamed again. So let's save that out and see what happens.
So if that's a complex or confusing process to you, feel free to just grab the code and use it. Grab that code and use it, because sometimes, especially before you start understanding arrays, we're going to give you some stuff to help you understand, PHP and arrays and what that does a little bit better. But when you're first getting into it, if you have to just grab the code, copy and paste it, don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, and as a starting WordPress developer, it's okay to go the long way sometimes. It's okay to not know this stuff. Really, it would be more complex for us to go and explain every aspect of PHP right now than showing you how to get up and going, get a WordPress theme that works. So maybe if you can't follow this or having a hard time, go ahead and change the CSS classes. Change them to menu instead of nav and navbar nav, and just restyle the header. You're going to still end up with a WordPress theme that has a dynamic menu, and that's the most important part.
Right.
So that's it for now. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up and go on to the next section. So thank you very much, and see you soon.